Welcome to the Life, Death and Happiness podcast. Before we start today, I want to take a short moment to reminisce because over the last week I've lost two good friends. One is Ruthie, who lost her battle to Fanconi Anemia. I've met her a couple of times, and she had fought a really tough battle during the last years. So my condolences to her and her family. I hope you are in a better place now, Ruthie. And also, I want to do the same for Torben Musing, a friend of mine who we go a long way back, at least 20 years. He died from cancer this Saturday, and he always mattered a lot to me. I'm a super nerd, you all know that. So I met him doing some role-playing cons back in, as I said, more than 20 years ago. So I just want to say that I'm really sorry to have lost you two. I know your family. We have a lot of friends in common. I got the news while I was in the US, and also it matters to me because if you remember in episode 8, it was an episode where I talked to everybody about my story. In reality, I had talked to Torben about being on the podcast. He knew which way it was going for him, and he told me about a month ago when we met up that he wanted to do the episode, but when we were supposed to record it, he got worse, and he never got to participate. So I'm a bit emotional about that. I really hope that he got to tell his story, but as I said, I just want to dedicate this episode to these two wonderful persons. The condolences to the family, and hope to see you both in some other life. So, but let's get into the episode. I just needed to get this off my chest. This podcast is all about real talks with real people. Why? Because some stories just need to be told. In each episode, I will sit down and talk with my guest about how it is to live with an incurable disease or terminal illness. But let me get this straight before we start. This is all about celebrating life. I'm your host, Daniel Cole. Welcome. Welcome to this episode of Life, Death and Happiness. We are up to episode number 9, and this time I have a visit from James from Ohio. And hi, James.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine today. How about you?
I'm doing well.
I'm glad to hear that. But I have to say to people, you're actually the first person on the podcast I haven't met in real life. So I'm kind of curious to get to know you better. And I bet the people out there is curious too.
I am definitely on that same boat.
Yeah, I know. So I'm going to ask you to begin with, who are you and where do you come from?
I come from a small village in Ohio that is surrounded by cornfields.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was a deputy sheriff and was very well known around the county.
Mm-hmm.
I did a whole bunch of nature stuff, like the Boy Scout stuff really was my main thing, and I got my Eagle Scouts. So I just fell in love with nature. But with me, growing up with Fanconi Anemia, which is what I always called it myself until I found the sites, FA. But Fanconi Anemia was just something I've always said. I had 19 surgeries, all before the age of 13.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, most of them were just small surgeries that had to be divided up in multiple times, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Sometimes it's too big a surgery, so they have to, yeah.
Yeah. So, that was there, and I grew. I have a brother and a sister.
Mm-hmm.
My brother lives in California at the moment, and the other still lives around the Ohio area.
Okay. Does any of them have Fanconi anemia too?
They do not.
They do not. Okay. Glad to hear that.
Yeah. So what I am told, or what I understand about FA, is that that's a very rare disease, and that it has to be, the only way to incorporate it into the body, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, is if both the mother and the father has to have the chromosomes in order to create the thing. And me, I was not planned. So I was just born, and I like to joke and say I was a bubble boy for the longest time. But I spent a lot of my, until I was like one, maybe, in a bubble. And I could not be around my parents or my family without either being in a bubble or them being all dressed up in medical clothes.
Oh.
That was interesting. But yeah.
So was you diagnosed already after birth, or did that happen later?
I was diagnosed right at birth.
Okay.
And I had my transplant when I was like maybe 2.
Whoa, that's early.
Yeah.
And for people who doesn't know that, when we talk about transplants, when you talk with Fanconi anemia people, it's the bone marrow transplantation that at least most of us, if not all of us, will get sooner or later in life. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe I got that from my brother. So he donated. Yeah, he was. I believe he's several years older than me. But yeah.
I got my bone marrow from my brother too, so yeah. In that way, we're in the same situation, even though I was older than that.
Yeah.
So when you grew up, did you and your parents tell people around you, friends and people at school when you started there, that you had Fanconi anemia, or was it something you kept to yourself?
I kept most of it to myself, unless someone asked. So growing up, it was difficult for me to really relate with a lot of people because everyone around me had 5 fingers and long arms, whereas I had short arms and 4 fingers. I was born without the thumb. And it was just hard for me to relate, but I still got along with everyone just fine, and nobody ever treated me any different. So
that's a good thing, yeah.
Yeah, and plus, there were very few times where people tried to bully me, but I did not ever let them. I stood up for myself, so I did have the courage for that. But yeah, it was a road. It was a challenging road, rocky times, but I had a good support system growing up. My grandparents were wonderful. My parents are just, they're heavenly parents.
Oh, that's good to hear.
All the things that I had to put them through, they were definitely champs for that. I applaud for them. I definitely applaud them.
I'm happy to hear that because that is so essential when you're dealing with something like this. I mean, it really is. I mean, I love so much how my parents showed me support too, all those years where I needed it the most, and it's just it's just so crucial when you grow up like that.
Yes, it is. One thing I would like to mention, when I was, I don't know, kindergarten, it was all young. I I was taken to like this testing area where they were trying to figure out if I was a lefty or a righty. What I mean is, like, do I write with my right hand or left hand? During that time, I had on multiple times I had casts on both arms because I had surgery, and each time I went in, they were like, "Oh yeah, he's definitely dominant left," or "Yeah, he's dominant right." And the next time when I didn't have a cast on either arm, I did both with both hands. Yeah, I'm ambidextrous, I guess. But it's
That's
growing
rare,
up.
but it comes in handy.
It does. It really does, and it's quite funny when people are like, "Hey, I thought I saw you eating that burrito with your left hand." Nope, I'm doing it with my right this time. But I can. Um, yeah, so I, my parents went to the hospital a lot because of me. Because the casts on my arms, I always slipped out of them. And so they could never figure out how I'm slipping out, but they also kept trying to keep me in them. I didn't want to,
Of
apparently.
course not. You were a kid. Who would want
Yeah.
that as a kid? Come on.
And it's just too much in those casts. Come on now, give me a break.
Oh, cool. So you grew up with this, and with knowing you had Fanconi anemia, at least as long back as you are aware of, and your parents knew that too. But before we started the recording, you told me that you didn't get in contact with other people with Fanconi anemia before like a couple of months ago. So I'm wondering, was your parent seeking out other people to talk to
Well,
about this, or?
I don't know exactly what my parents were doing in that case, but one of the doctors I had told my parents specifically to just let him do the things for himself. Otherwise, he might uh, depend on other people or you guys for anything. And because the doctor says make him do things for himself will make me independable.
Oh yeah.
So now I'm living on my own in an apartment and uh, yeah, living in a really good part of Ohio that is absolutely gorgeous.
But that is a very important point you're actually coming up with here, because when you're born, I mean, it's different for people who get the diagnosis late in life than people who gets it early. And for some people, it seems like I won't call it they're afraid of living, but they're maybe too overprotected by their parents and people around them, so they don't reach this independent thing that you have, where you actually can provide for yourself and build up your own life. And I've
Yes.
done the same part as you. I've gotten my education. I live in a nice place in a good neighborhood, and I couldn't have done that if I hadn't worked a lot and worked hard all my life to get these things. And I think it's an important thing. It doesn't matter if you have Fanconi anemia or some other chronic illness or disease. I know it can sound a bit harsh to some, but people need to stop using this as an excuse to feel bad for themselves. You're fully
Yeah.
allowed to feel bad. I feel bad for myself every now and then, but that doesn't make me just sit back, relax, and do nothing. I mean, if I want to have a life, I need to try to create it myself. So I
Yes.
think it's a very interesting point you're coming up with. Did you find it difficult when growing up and being at school and going on college and so on to actually, feel like you could do exactly what you wanted to?
Well, I would say yes to that, but it's half and half, yes and no.
Hmm.
Um, I have found growing up that I can be very independable and very dependable on, if that makes sense. Like, people come to me sometimes for some work to be done or some advice or things like that. And that's an awesome thing. I just wasn't held back from doing anything. I did cross country. I did track and field, baseball a little bit. Not very much, but my soccer. I don't know if I mentioned soccer. Anyways, my jam was cross country, and though I was not very good at it, I loved it anyways. I just loved being in that country area. And Boy Scouts, I was able to never limit myself. And growing up, again, I used to climb trees all the time, do all those fun kid things, picking out toads, getting snakes, and looking at gross things that I find to be hilarious.
Yeah. Boys are the same no matter where you are in the world.
Oh, yes, yes. It is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like having fun, and when I'm around the right people, I don't think about the fact that I have short arms and 4 fingers. At the job that I work for, I am what they call a transportation specialist. Which means that I drive for the company, and I can drive anywhere from 50 miles to going on 200 miles a day. And I love it. I love driving. I love the independence. I love the interaction with a few people that we get to transport. And it's very nice. It's very rewarding. And I have no idea where I was going with that now.
No, but it doesn't matter. You're still explaining a little bit about yourself and your life. So it's just, I mean, you have reached this place in life where you are having your own place and as you said, you live in a good neighborhood. So we were talking a little about the things you had to go through to get there. You talked earlier about you have been through a lot of surgeries. Has that kept on all through your life, or was it mostly when you were a child?
So I had 19 surgeries, all before the age of 13.
Yeah.
Most of them was in my single-digit life, but when I reached about 11, 12, and 13, I had a couple ear surgeries. In my left ear, I was born without an ear canal, but had most of the parts. The only thing that they had to create was the ear canal and the eardrum. So now I can hear out of it. Now it's faded over the years, of course, but I can still hear out of it pretty well. And then I had 2 more surgeries in my 20s.
Okay, yeah.
And that was those were cataract surgeries, so it wasn't anything huge. It was just me laying on a slab and the doctor saying, "Stay awake."
I mean, to me, it's sometimes funny when I talk to other people with Fanconi Anemia that we have a different grades of what is small and big surgeries compared to most other people. People are like, I've been like 19 under the knife before I turned 13, only a couple of times in this one. Yes, nothing. So many people, they're like, when they get into their 30s or 40s, maybe it's their first time visit ever to a hospital. And so most of us, most like, psh, it's like a daily routine. I mean, it takes a lot more. I talked to somebody around a year ago, and they were like, "Have you had any difficulties?" No, I think it was 6 months ago. I was like, "No, I felt so good since I got rid of my cancer almost 5 years ago, almost no problems. Okay, there was a few. I mean, then a few biopsies every now and then because they think the cancer might be back, so they have made the biopsy from the mouth. It hurts, for half a day, and then it's over. And then I had like a knot of fat over here that were growing on the side on my right side, and they had to remove that last year with 17 stitches. But to me, it was like nothing. You asked me if there was something big, and to me, it was like, yeah, I could actually get up and go to work the week after. What's the deal? I mean, to some people that would be big, but it all depends on what you're used to.
Well, one thing I would like to mention, if I could, I had a friend growing up that he was such a good dude, but he passed away just before he was able to graduate from high school.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I still get emotional about him. He was such a good dude. He had way more surgeries than me. Way more. I'm probably overdoing it, but I'm thinking he had in the high 20s, low 30s type of many surgeries. Pretty sure.
Okay.
And he was extremely positive and he loved life. And it just got the best of him. I don't know what he had, but we talked a decent bit growing up. He was always extremely positive, and I think his influence of being so positive, of what he's been through, helped me to be positive. And that's the same thing with my grandparents. They did wonders for me as well.
A lot of having a chronic disorder, a terminal illness, I think a lot of the battle is going on mentally in our heads. I mean, if you can figure out how to stay happy or at least stay positive and be able to also see the positive sides of life while you're going through some hard times, I think that will make a huge difference in the end for how long you will last and how quote unquote easy you will get through all this, because it's never going to be easy, but easier. I mean, if you actually can try to force yourself into thinking in a more positive way. I hear that all the time. Oh, you're always smiling. You're so positive. And I am, because I mentioned that on the podcast before. It's like, yeah, because right now nothing bad is happening in my life. So I'm going to spend that time being happy and being awesome and enjoying life. I mean, I can worry about the serious stuff, the hard stuff, when I get there.
That's right. Worry about the construction once you get to the construction. Yeah, I love that. And you're totally right. I am in the same thinking that what your mindset is where you are. If your mindset is so focused on what you have that is so poor and what you don't have, you're just going to be focusing on that, and you're not going to be able to move forward. If you are able to get the barrier away from yourself or work around that barrier, then you are home free. You are able to move forward. You are able to be a good, positive person in a community. And something that I have always thought about is that the world isn't what it used to be. It's not a community, and I would love to see it be a community of living with one another instead of living for ourselves. And that's another biggest thing, is just how we treat one another. if you give the positive outlook, then another person can potentially get that positive outlook because your attitude is contagious. You give them positivity, they will give positivity back to them. So, staying positive is the best thing you could do to help not just yourself, but the people around you. If you're negative, people around you are going to be negative. If you're positive, there's a very good chance that positivity will catch on to them too.
I totally agree. I mean, just make a small experiment out there. Go next time you go out shopping, give the cashier the biggest and most warm smile you have, and see how they react to that. It's beautiful. I mean,
It really is.
I love that feeling when I see sometimes you can see they're having a rough day, and you give them that smile. You look them into the eyes. You try to actually be like, "Thank you so much for your help," and you can almost see that big smile spreading on. I love that. I love that feeling of being able to spread those positive vibes.
Oh yes,
It's
yes,
wonderful.
yes. Every time I go through any line at a grocery store, I try to focus on who is kind of the saddest and go through their line, and I just kind of interact with them, and I can see immediately with me interacting with them, they get lighted up. They smile more. You can see that they're having a better day because you've given them something that other people has taken away. You've given them, you're giving them joy. You're giving them the sense of they are a human being, not a robot in a line.
And that goes for everybody out there. Remember that. Doesn't matter if you where you go. Other people, if it's it doesn't matter if you go to the grocery store, you go to the Disney parks, or whatever you're doing with your life. I mean, it's people, no matter what, and treat them like that. I'm totally on your side regarding this. I mean, it is important, and also think I think it helps us boost something positive within ourselves too.
Yes, it can also be very humbling. Yes, very humbling.
So I'm a bit curious here because you talked about the surgeries and where are you at right now? Do you have anything, any pre-cancers, anything that you're dealing with right now?
Well, as far as I know, I haven't honestly been checked out, and I have not actually gone to any specialist about anything that I have. But the last time that I did get checked out, I would say back in 2013, 2014, that doctor said I was healthier than an ox. So I don't uh, I don't really feel that I have any illness. I don't feel that I have anything bad in me. I just have a lot of positivity. Sure, I may feel a little bit of pain here and there, but I also feel that I'm getting up there in age. But aches and pain is no biggie to me anymore.
How old was it you were again? How old
I
are
am
you?
3.
You're how
I
old?
am
30?
33.
Oh, yeah, then you're old.
Totally old.
I'm 43, so I'm allowed to say that. I mean, people can be like, that's not old. Yeah. If you have FA, that's worth celebrating. I mean,
Yeah,
every year is worth celebrating.
I totally agree. Another thing that I have found for myself, and I kind of done this from my first job. If I find out anybody having a birthday, I will literally just get a card from somewhere and have several people sign it and give it to that person and say, "Happy birthday," and their faces just light up. It's like, "Thank you so much," and a lot of people don't realize that having a birthday is great. It is something that, like you said, worth celebrating, because it's another year older, another year that you can just enjoy life. No matter where you are in life, you can enjoy it for what you have, not for what you don't have. Something that I have now. I'm in Bible studies, and one of the things that came across my mind just now is one of the passages that talks about Jesus saying, "If I may, if I may."
No, it's okay. It's okay. If it means something to you, please so. Yeah.
So Jesus made the comment of how um, God will give you what you need. And then through my Bible study, they kind of said, well, God will give you what you want eventually. I'm like, no, that's not the case. That's not what the verse said. It said what you need. And what we need is food, water, and shelter are our main things. We have all of that. But God also knows our hearts better than we know ourselves, so He will still provide for us. This is just where I am in life, that God has provided me and blessed me with so much already. And I give the ultimate good in the circumstances that I'm in now. Sure, it may be rough, but that's going to be life.
I mean,
That's all right.
yeah, I'm not a religious guy. I can say that, but to me, it has always been a little. I wouldn't call it silly, but when people are talking bad about people who are religious, it doesn't make sense to me. Because I don't care where you find your strength from, as long as you find it. I don't care where you find the room in your heart to love other people, as long as you find it. I mean, that to me is the most important thing, no matter what. Then people can pretty much come from all kind of all over the world and believe in different things. To me, it's all I've been talking to people who be like, but you need to believe in this and this way. I'll be like, no, but you need to look other people in the eyes. If you see a kind-hearted person, you're talking to somebody worth liking and worth spending time with. I mean, it's not difficult to see if you meet somebody who I hate the word bad people, but when you look, you can tell a lot about people when you look them into the eyes and have a conversation with them. And to me, that is the most important part. If people are spreading positive things, I'm all for it. If they are going out and treating other people, bullying them, treating them bad, then I don't like it. So to me, it's kind of that simple. So no matter what, I will always encourage people to believe if that's what they need and where they are in life, because if it's right to them, it's right to them. I mean, who am I? I might end up dying there someday and find out I was all wrong. So, I mean, who am I to judge anybody else? I mean, that's just how I feel about it.
Now, in my way, even in the Bible, it says, "Do not judge unless ye be judged." I will not judge another person based on where they are in life. I would love that person no matter what, because for me, God told me to love them. And the more that I interact with that love, the more that I am not just in love with myself, but I'm loving them the way that I love myself, because that's it. That's what I feel that I'm called to do.
I also think that's
Yeah.
it's a good way to think about it, no matter what. I mean, if you don't start out being positive towards other people, if you don't try to see something good in them, then you won't find it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
yes,
it's kind of that simple.
Yeah, I believe that no one should be treated with disrespect. And loving them can help them and giving a positive outlook on things because they see what you're going through. It might not be so bad for them when you're the one being positive. And it gives them hope, and it gives me hope, and I just like to have fun, so I just have fun doing whatever I want to do.
Yeah, I don't know why, because something different, but it still reminds me a little of, I read a book years ago about networking. And usually that is very much about financial stuff and talking about companies and blah, blah, and all that. But this guy, I really admired him because he was like the best deals in his life he didn't get from other CEOs and yeah, maybe some down the line, but most of his greatest contacts has come from being nice to people and actually talking to people on his way. I mean, he even talked about one who he was at a hotel once a year, and he one of the ladies who did the bets, did all that, and he started talking to you because he came back to the hotel and he talked to him. It was nice to him that they had a cup of coffee together at the hotel. He was just like, I'd like to know who you are. And then, like 5 years later, suddenly he got a call and he was invited to a governor's mansion because she just happened to be the maid there and she had talked about this brilliant guy she had met. So suddenly he actually gained something positive for just being nice to somebody that most people will not even recognize. I mean, I think to me it told a lot about that no matter where you are in life, be nice to other people. Not just because you want to gain something, but because no matter if you're poor or rich, or you will probably have an interesting story worth hearing.
Oh, yes, everyone has a story, everyone. And it's your choice whether you want to be that listening ear or if you want to just write them off. Everyone's a human being. Everyone bleeds red. I don't care who it is. You're going to bleed red if
Oh, yeah.
get a paper cut. And that is the main thing for me. Is that black, white, Indian, I don't care who it is. I see them as a human being because they are human beings. They deserve just as much as what I deserve. So I am not going to write them off, whether they're in poverty, whether they are rich, no matter what. I'm going to treat them all the same because being a human, being someone who's sensible, they all have a story, and if they want to tell it, they can talk about it, and I will be a listening ear, and that's what I love, is hearing stories as well.
Do you think that growing up with Fanconi Anemia, growing up knowing you're different, do you think that has helped your perspective on life like this?
Very much so, yes. Growing up, I got very distraught with a lot of situations, and that made me slow down and say, how can I do this better? So I became more patient with myself because other people can just go ahead and do it very quick. I have to kind of step back, do it the way that I can do it, and then that made me more patient by achieving that goal, and that made me love to hear other people's stories while I'm doing other things. And as I got older, I just became more intentional of talking to other people, listening to their stories, and seeing where they came from, and seeing that they have come from many different things, and they have achieved a lot, but they've also been depressed, and I have found that talking to them more and more, they become brighter and brighter in life, positive, rather. So it gives it's not so much it giving me joy or me getting anything out of it. It's so much that I'm giving them something that another person cannot uh, give them. They're getting attention from a friend, and that's what I'd rather be, as a friend to another person, so that they have. I don't want to just look on myself and say, "Oh, I got this." I want to be someone in the background for another person, saying, "There's the spotlight. You get in there. I'll just stay back here."
I admire that way of looking upon it, because it's not something you find so often these days. I mean, we are in this, and I am guilty of it myself. We are in this selfie age, where everybody, hey, look at me. And in reality, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, as long as you're still kind-hearted. But it's a more rare and rare thing that people are actually giving room to others to grow. So I admire that. I have to be a little more curious about where you are in life right now. I know you're doing good, as you talked about. How much does living with a chronic or terminal illness, whatever we want to call it, how much does that matter to you in your everyday life? Do you even think about it? I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on. I know that.
Yeah, I sure do. No, I don't really think about it. I just think about what can I do to improve today. I don't think about what can I do to improve myself. I think about what can I improve today for another person, because that's line of work is transporting people, and I just want to keep doing that. Something I love, but more importantly, it's something that that people are getting a benefit from, and it helps them. But for me, where I am, living in an apartment, living down in a very beautiful part of Ohio, where it's very hilly, very mountainy, I guess you could call it, and very luxurious or luscious with trees and wildlife, and it's something that I love, and I don't think about me having Fanconi anemia or the fact that the pain is kind of getting in my back or anything like that. It's just living another day to do something that I feel I am meant to do. Be nice, be kind, be loving, be, I guess, myself.
Yeah, I think that what you're telling me here is kind of think how I feel about stuff too. If you actually have something to wake up to in the morning, if you have some important things to do in your life, something that matters to you, it takes a lot of thoughts away from being sick. I mean, I don't even like using that word. I don't walk around thinking I'm sick. I know for a fact that I am. And sometimes I can feel in my body. I know that I'm getting tired very easily and stuff like that. But I can go on for a lot of days without thinking much about it. That is also a little lie, because I think it crossed my mind a few times every day at least. But not necessarily in a bad way. This is because I go online on Facebook and I read some comments from some people I know. Maybe it's because I'm doing some works in Denmark for the Fanconi Anemia board here. Then we're talking about, okay, what are we going to do the next time? So it has a place in my life, but not a dominant part. I mean, when I wake up in the morning, I go to work. I have a small son. I have a son that is 8 years old, and believe me, that takes time. And I have to be present whenever I'm with him. So having a job, have something to do, having him and my wife. I mean, it makes sure that I cannot think about the disease and being sick all the time anyway.
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah.
I think it just to have something to wake up to is pretty darn important. I mean, come on. I have.
Yes,
Please. Yeah.
I have 4 nephews and 1 niece, and I love them to death. And my whole family is what I love, knowing that I still have them. That's what I get up for. I get up for my family. I get up for my friends, and they're all loving, very encouraging, and that is a lot of the reason why I get up. Yeah.
So I want to dive into the next topic because it's sometimes it's the most difficult questions, and sometimes it just isn't because death is just a part of life. I mean, it's pretty damn difficult to go through life without dying someday. I mean,
Sure, yeah.
kind of obvious, but having a terminal disease or chronic disorder, whatever we want to call Fanconi anemia, I know there's different people describe it in different ways, but how much do you think about death, if ever?
Oh golly, I think about death often, but I'm not afraid of it. I feel like I've been near death a few times, but it's nothing that has ever scared me. If I die tonight or if I die tomorrow, I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going and where my soul is. And this is just my belief that I have comfort in death. It's just one thing that I love. It is from, I don't remember where I found this, but it's just beautiful that you can start out your life as a caterpillar, and then you reach the stage in life where you're a cocoon, you're in a casket, if you will. And in that time period that you're in that casket, you turn into a beautiful butterfly. And that is the afterlife. That is the beauty. That is what I am seeing myself as I'm just a caterpillar right now, but I'm going to soon turn into a butterfly, something beautiful, something that will be pleasant and great. And it's just, death has no fear on me. Another thing that I'm going to have to go through. And it's just something that I'm going to face one day. We all have...
Yeah.
We're all going to die. That's how...
That's a given, yeah.
Way of putting it. Yeah, and besides, I have seen in this world that there may be destruction, there may be poverty, there may be hate, but there's also beauty in here too. But again, death. I'm not afraid of it. If it comes tomorrow, it comes tomorrow. If it comes later, it comes later. I'm just going to face it.
In reality, that is what all of us has to, no matter if we like it or not. I mean, it's easy to say, but it's kind of a choice we need to make. I mean, I talked about it in the episode where I talked about my own situation in my life. I talked about I'm not afraid of dying, but I don't like the idea of being in pain before. I mean, to me, it's not the death part. I mean, we are going to die. I just hope that, I mean, I've had a lot of friends with Fanconi anemia and people outside who have died within the last many years. That is not the most positive part about being part of a community like this. I mean, you just came in like a couple of months ago. regarding the Fanconi Anemia community. And as much as it is wonderful and it's nice to have help, and it's nice to find other people who thinks like you and you feel like some kind of bond between us, it's also the difficult part is when you lose somebody, because often it's not peacefully, to be honest. And I think that's the only hard part for me. It's not the dying part, because I feel I've tried to live my life to the fullest as much as possible. I don't have any regrets. If I had to say goodbye to everything tomorrow, I also feel like I could go out and be like, yep, I actually did what I came for. I got the experience I wanted. I showed the love. I told the people I care for that I care for them. So in that regard, I don't have any regrets actually either. But I'm glad you're looking upon it that way, because again, it's very, very different from person to person.
Oh yes. I have experienced death in so many different ways. Friends has already passed away. My father who passed away last year. I have witnessed so many deaths in my 33 years of life that, yeah, sure, some of them went out or died painfully, but there's quite a few also that died peacefully. And I don't know how I'm going to die, but like I said previously, that when you brought it up, pain is, to me, it's just another thing. It's something that I have lived with. It's something that will stick with me from the time I wake up till the time I go back to bed. It's just there, and it's not going to escape me. It's not going to go away from me, even if I say go away. It's not going to be
Yeah, that really ain't going to help, no.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's a past, but it's a past that I live with, and it's something that I'm gonna ignore to the best of my ability, so that I can focus on living life to the fullest, like you have said. I sport, I hike, I have climbed trees. I love climbing. I've done so much. I drive. I have flown a plane.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I have flown a plane.
Oh, damn. Oh, no, I think it's cool. But I talked to a kid from Denmark who also have FA, and he got his license to these, I don't know, hovercraft, whatever you call them. He got the license to that like 2 months ago. And I told him, I bet you're the first FA to ever fly a plane. So I was wrong about that. Oh! No, I think it's kind of cool.
When I flew a plane, I was in 6th grade. I was doing a science fair project on how planes were able to stay up in the air, and the motors behind it, the wings, the type of wings. And I had a good friend whose dad just happened to be an airplane pilot. He owned 3 planes of his own, and he was also a commercial pilot, and before that he was in the Air Force. So I was able to connect with him. He took me up in one of his biplanes, and he, after some of the questions that I asked him, he's like, so, how much do you want to take the wheel right now? I'm like, oh, I want to take the wheel so bad. He's like, there you go. He gave me the wheel, and I drove I flew the plane for a good 45 minutes, I would say.
Oh, that's cool.
I can't say that I'm a professional, but...
No, but you tried it.
day.
Oh, that's awesome. And
It's so
this pretty
fun.
much leads into a very good part of the podcast, so where we talk about what is happiness to you. I mean, you already talked about some positive things in your life and things you have done, but if just if we go general to begin with, what is happiness to you?
What is, repeat that again?
What is happiness to you?
Happiness as in like, what? Oh, happiness.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
happiness. Sorry. Happiness. Happiness is, well, for a lot of things, self peace, you have to find peace within yourself first. You have to be able to know how to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, you have to find happiness in everyday life by talking to good people, by being positive yourself, by knowing that there are all people around you that's really good, that, or maybe not even good, but you're just living a good life by treating yourself kindly. Having happiness is an inner thing. If you find happiness within yourself, you're going to be happy with yourself. So if you're not happy with where you are in life, create it, do it.
Mm.
If and if you're not going to do it, you're not going to be happy. And what I'm doing is making me happy by helping other people, and that's what I ultimately love doing.
Mm.
Is helping other people and just having fun in life, having a positive outlook.
So you actually you have taken an active choice regarding these things, being like happiness is to see other people grow around me and being happy and feeling good about themselves. So just as you mentioned earlier, that you like to help them get there. I mean, so that is part of your happiness. So when you create something positive for other people, that gives you a good life too. Am I right? Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So, I have to ask you because before we started recording, you said you love animals,
I do. Yes, very much so.
and I do too. And it's not something we talk a lot about in this podcast because we talk about other stuff too. But it's also important that what makes us tick. Where do we find not just happiness but some joy, and yeah. So you have a very special pet.
Yes, I
To
do.
me, to me, it's special at least.
Well, to me, he is special as well, and I try to interact with him as much as I can. My pet is a regular ball python,
Mm-hmm.
and he is a fun reptile. He really is. He is curious. He is very laid back, and he's a beautiful pet. He has a beautiful coloring on him, I guess you would call it.
Mm-hmm.
He's nice. He's fun.
Have you
I'm
always loved reptiles, or is it just a coincidence that you actually ended up having a snake as a pet?
well. I have always loved animals as a whole. Growing up, I had multiple dogs and several cats and goats and rabbits,
Hmm.
and I have always loved pets, but I've never owned a reptile until uh, 2016 when I went to reptile sit for a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and he was downsizing, so he gave me one of his snakes. And I just happened to get him. And what I love mostly about every animal, most animals, I should say, is that they bring something fun and something encouraging to nature. Every single animal has their place in wildlife that is so beneficial. Uh, Snakes being a big one that they eat rodents, they scare away rabbits from a garden, any animal, say a big enough snake eats a possum, and a possum has a disease, the snake is not going to get any disease from that possum, but it's helping out the environment so that nothing else can get that disease. So it's being a reptile out in that sense, or helping the environment out in that sense, so to speak. But then you have other animals that also do great things. Possums still, buzzards, they get rid of all the carcasses, and not many people look at a wildlife and think that is such a beautiful and a unique animal. Some of them will be more like, that thing is ugly, or I'm too scared of that because I don't know anything about it. Spiders, uh, snakes, lizards, bears, big bears even, elk.
And to be honest, I grew up with dogs, and from I was a really small kid, I just loved animals. I remember from I think it was my 6 years old birthday, I got this animal lexicon by my parents because they knew I loved animals. So some of the first things I actually was able to read by myself when I got into school, that was actually about these animals in this book, because I just love to read about them, and where they lived, and how, what was special about each animal. So that book, I'm so sad. I know I don't think it exists any longer. But this book was my most precious thing for like 5 or 6 years of my life back then, when I grew up. Also, when I was through the bone marrow transplantation and everything. I mean, I love being at home, sitting there. I have read this book over and over and over with a couple of 100 pages and good pictures of the animals. I just love that. So a lot of years ago, I even went a trip to Africa, to Kenya, with my older brother. We always wanted to go there, so we was in Kenya for 14 days, and to me that was mind blowing to see these animals I've only read about in real life nature. I mean, it was like, if you see a lion, oh, you better get back in the car now. I mean, it's not TV. This is, you're gonna, I mean, in that case, when you're going to a place like that, you find out you really have to listen to the guides. I mean, but I love that because it's so funny to think about when we got out of the plane and we actually drove out to something called Samburu Lodge in Kenya. The first thing we noticed within the first day was that all our senses worked a lot better than we have ever experienced in our life. It was like our mind and body was telling us, you are actually out now where the animals are wild, and you don't stand a chance if you don't look out for yourself. So I could smell much better, I could hear a lot better, my eyes, everything just worked better. I was so surprised by that. I've never read about that before. But I was sitting up a whole night just watching a small elephant flock going down against water by a waterhole. And I was looking at that for like maybe 5 or 6 hours. I was just sitting there doing nothing. I was just looking at it, and I love that feeling.
Oh yeah, it's the beauty of animals. I can watch animals for hours on end as well. Just being able to watch them doing what they do in their natural habitat. What do they do? It's fun to see that what a warthog does, what a giraffe does, what steak stew.
Mm.
It gives us a better sense that they have to actually go out and find all these things, where all we have to do is just go to a grocery store and say, yep, I'm getting that pizza.
Yeah.
They have to find and fight down a gazelle to get that dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely rewarding to know what we have versus what they have, but they don't know any better from what we have.
Mm.
But they know what they know by going out and doing what they do best, being what they are.
They are created exactly as they're supposed to be, and they don't try to hide it. They're just being what they're meant to be.
That's right.
And I
Yeah,
love
and I
that.
love that. I do too, so much. Yes.
I know we're getting off our string here. Sorry about that, people, but it's when you meet somebody else who have the same passion, or I
Oh
don't know what
yeah.
you want to call it, but to me, the most incredible animal anywhere is the crocodiles and the alligators. I never cared for them before, but when I was there, I woke up in the morning. We were living down by the river, and even though there was this small stone wall just to keep us just a little safe, I mean, when I stood up in the morning, I could see the Nile crocodiles laying out there on the sand in the middle of the river, uh, bathing in the sun. I mean, I was so scared, but at the same time, I admired them so much. I mean, these animals has been around since there was dinosaurs, and they
Oh
have
yeah.
hardly changed at all. They're like this look into a time that no longer exists,
Oh yeah.
and that impressed me a lot. Since that, when I've been to the U.S., I've been in Florida, actually for an FA meeting some years ago, and we actually took a trip out to see alligators there, and go in a small canoe just to go out. And I don't know. I'm fascinated by them. I shouldn't be, because they're dangerous as beep. So you really shouldn't keep your distance. But I can't stop admiring them. There's something, yeah, fantastic about them.
Oh yeah. Fantastic, and they are, wow, just mind blowing. Like as you have said, they may be docile and on land, but daggone, they are quick in the water,
Yep.
and their mouths are extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. So, looking at a crocodile, looking at an alligator, you have to give them respect
Mm-hmm.
for what they can do. And the respect is the best word I can give for any animal.
Mm.
Otherwise, disrespecting, you're not going to like the outcome.
Definitely not.
But yeah, you're right. They've been around for such a long time. And another animal that came to mind that has been around for such a long time as well are the sea tortoise.
Yeah.
They live for a very long time too.
Hmm.
Magnificent of what I would, if animals could talk, I would love to sit down and talk with a sea turtle.
I would rather
Well,
actually talk to the sea turtle than the crocodile. I just have a feeling I don't know why. They just look nice. They look more friendly.
yeah, very much so. I think I want to have a tea time with a crocodile. I think it would be more like teeth time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I like that teeth. Yeah. But there's something. I think the only animal I've ever seen that I do not get why people get as pets, at least, that is the big ass spiders. I had a woman I knew back then. When we visited her the first time, she was like, "Oh, this is my this is my old friend. I was looking into that, and there was like this big spider. I was like, yikes! I said, are you actually keeping this as a pet? He went, yeah, it's cute. Do you want me to take it out? No, you can leave it in there. I've been holding snakes. I usually don't have a problem with that. But a spider that big? No, it's okay. It's allowed to live. I mean, it's a being and it's allowed to be here. It has its place. But no, I'm not going to hold that at all. Or let it creep around my arm. No. I think it's the only time I really backed down and was like, nope.
I can't say I'd ever own a spider as a pet, nor would I own a scorpion as a pet.
Oh, no, I agree with that.
But I admire them as well, and they all have their unique purposes.
Oh, yeah, they're interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting, so interesting. But I can't say that I fear a spider. I've learned in my life that fear, for me, fear is something that will hold me back from something. And I like being held back. I like pushing forward. And though I have two fears of mine that I can't get over, but I have so many other things that I just walk around those two big things, and I still enjoy life, and they just don't get in the way. Yeah. So fear is something to me that blocks my way from having a better life. And that's not the same for everyone. It's just for me.
But you can see, maybe not every time, but at least often fears come from the lack of knowledge. I mean,
That too.
every human being used to fear the night because you couldn't see what was going on. I mean, knowledge helps you a lot when dealing with fear. Maybe not every time and in all cases, but often, I would say.
Yes. Since you brought up that part, there is a healthy fear and there is a bad fear. And as you said, fear can be related to lack of knowledge. And I think that is a bad fear. But there is also a healthy fear of being afraid of or having a fear of crocodiles. That's a healthy fear. But, you know,
You don't want to go try to pet them, okay?
that I'm not going to go head and head with the crocodile. They can stay over there in their swamp. But yeah, fear is in many sorts of ways. You can have a healthy fear of something, and with the respect that they can chop your head off at any moment, or
But in reality, now that I think about it, actually this could relate a lot to also to having something like Fanconi anemia or cancer or something else. You can fear it of lack of knowledge. I mean, because you don't know what it can do to you, and sometimes people, I mean, some types of cancers can be treated in 90% of the cases. It's not, you're not dying just because you got cancer. I mean, I know a lot of people have had several cancers who's still here. Cancer is not a death sentence. So you need to figure out if that happens to you. Read up on it, get the knowledge, and you can still have a healthy fear because you never know what's going to happen in the end. That's all right. But get some information, and so you have the right picture, so you know if there's actually something to fear here. There's nothing wrong in fearing, but there's, as you mentioned, there's a healthy fear.
oh yes,
And then there's the one because of the lack of knowledge. So people can help themselves a lot regarding all kind of fear, not just towards animal, but a lot of aspects in life, actually.
yes, Yes. There's people that I know who doesn't have a driver's license because they fear vehicles. They fear of driving. And then there's other people who are afraid of water or of, I don't know, there's so many fears out there that you can't pinpoint just each one. Some people fear going to funeral homes. Those are all lack of knowledges in my opinion. And I'm not saying it's not okay or okay to have those. It is okay, but they all have their experiences of why the fear has accumulated in their life. So yeah, there's a healthy fear and a good and a bad fear, and all what you do with it. Move forward or stay where you are, not move forward at all. Be a way to speak, and I hate using it that way, but it's kind of the full truth. You're going to be a dead weight if you can't move forward from not just fear, but from something that's holding you back. If you can't get over it, you're not going to get over to where you're meant to be or where you can find your happiness.
Fear can make people stay in the same place all life through. The fear of other people, the fear of going outside, the fear of catching germs. It can be anything. I mean,
yes.
Fear is something that I experience fear. Everybody does every now and then. But as we talked about, healthy fear, other one comes from not knowing.
Yes.
And sometimes a bit of a combination, but
yeah. I would say in 2011, I had a previous passion. I've always wanted to try snowboarding. Snowboarding was just the biggest thing for me. I wanted to do it, and I found myself a cheap board, cheap bindings, cheap boot, and I just went out and did it. Now, when I got to the very top of this mountain, I'm like, oh, well, that's steeper than what it looks like. But there's only one way to get down. You have to force yourself to get down that, and the more that you did it, the more you think, this is fun. So for me, that's just what I'm kind of thinking about in the fear aspect, that if you don't force it, even a little bit, you're not going to get past it. You're not going to get to where your destination is. And that destination was down a slope and then back up. And I did that. And it was so much fun.
Sometimes you just have to jump right in.
That's right. If you don't jump in, you're not going to get wet.
You're right about that. I don't know if you have, we didn't talk about that before, but I wonder, you have had a lot of life experience when I talk to you regarding many aspects of life. So if somebody came up to you who was recently diagnosed with cancer, Fanconi Anemia, sclerosis, whatever it is, what advice would you give them? It might be a little tricky question, but
try to look at the positive on life. If you focus on what you have, you're going to focus on fear, and there's a good chance you're going to be defeated. So many things I have found is psychological. It is your mind that can help heal your body. And if your mind is healthy, you have the better chance of overcoming the fear of what you have, whether it is cancer, whether it's Fanconi anemia, whether it is a leg amputation.
Mm.
If you are able to get past that barrier, you are looking at that glass, the glass right in front of you, that not just half empty, but half full, and able to fill up that glass with more of your positivity and surround yourself with true loving people. It can be your family, it can be your friends. If it's not your friends, gotta move on and find the positive people in your life. I was just actually talking to a friend of mine today that she told me she had cancer, and the way she got past it was, and she got past cancer, and by seeking out the support group, and that's exactly what I did too, to seek out people with Fanconi anemia, because that I needed to talk to people with Fanconi anemia to see if maybe I can be a positive person to them, or if somebody can be positive to me. And positivity is the biggest thing in life. If you're not positive about anything that you have, well, you're probably going to lose. Probably give up. You're probably going to be distraught, be sad, be depressed. You don't want that. You want to move forward.
And you can move forward no matter what.
That's right.
Depending on the situation, I know some people get diagnosed that it's just so bad that they know there ain't much time left, but still, you can still choose how you wanna approach it, how you wanna deal with it, how you wanna deal with your friends, your families, and that is also part of how they will remember you. I mean, it's all part of you. But I mean, someone once told me that you're not gonna get judged by the times you fall. You're gonna be judged by the way you move on from that, and the way you behave when you're under that much pressure. That is what you will probably be judged on, and people will remember the most. It's not you falling, because everybody falls somehow, somewhere in life. It's how you get up and move on from there.
Oh, yes. Yes, I totally agree with that statement. We all fall. It's how we fight back. It's how we punch that barrier that's right in front of us. That barrier is whatever it is that's holding us in that moment. Cancer. Are we going to let it rule us, or are we going to rule that? Ruling is the key thing. Positivity is the key thing. Love is the key thing. Without love, we don't have any of that. And love comes in many forms: friends, family, pets. Having all of that positivity is great. So, no matter what, I just think if you be positive, you are going to defeat whatever it is. A friend of mine's mom passed away many, many years ago because she had cancer in about 90% of her body. But she was also a very positive person. And the way that I see her, and that also my other friend who passed away, they defeated the illness that they had by being positive to other people. And saw how they lived their life until the end. They were loving, they were kind. It doesn't matter what you have. Just push all of that aside. Be who you are meant to be. Love, kind, being part of a community where you can do better and by being a positive role model for someone else. We choose who we want to be.
We sure do.
Yes.
James, it has been such a pleasure having you on this podcast. I'm glad you agreed. I'm glad you wanted to join me here.
Oh, yes. I was looking forward to this. And I just, for weeks, I was like, oh, man, I cannot wait. I'm so nervous, but I cannot wait to do this. I am so excited.
And you see, there was no need to be nervous. You did good. You did well.
Yeah, thank you.
Not
And
that much good.
it takes a great person to make me feel calm down, and you were wonderful. You were
Thank
very
you.
wonderful.
And I don't know what the future holds, but I do hope I get to see you some of the Fanconi Anemia meetings, maybe this year or somewhere, sometimes else. But I do hope that could be fun, actually. I mean, you're the only one I haven't met in real life. Damn it.
Hey, I'm just saying that there is always a chance. So let's do this. Let's make this thing.
So, but I really appreciate you coming here, talking about your life and what you've been through and your looks upon life. I love that because that is I think the biggest strength of this podcast. It is the many different views on living a life like this, because some of us share the same disease, but does not make us anywhere near like each other, because we come from such different places in life, and there's something to learn from everybody. I actually got this letter from a mother today, actually, before we recorded this. A mother who lost her daughter some years ago with Fanconi Anemia because of a cancer that wasn't treated the right way, and at least afterwards. And she told me that it actually mattered to her to listen to these stories, because it helped her process a lot of her thoughts and her feelings. And to me, that meant the world. I mean, then it's worth making episodes like these. It's worth listening. It's worth talking to people. If that can make a difference to some people out there, oh, now that gets me emotional. I mean, I'll be like, then it's worth it. It's worth every single second I spend on these things here.
Yes, very much so. Now I'm going to say this as well, that I have also been through my dark days, as anyone else has. I've had depression. I've had a sense where I was not needed, but I'm getting more into my life where I have more positivity. I am doing something more that is beyond me, and that is what I love, and I am doing everything positively, and that makes my depression go away. That is making everything that I'm thinking upon myself go away. Nothing can defeat me now, and I am hoping that. And I wanted to do this podcast to show that other people, no matter what they're going through, that they can have a positive outlook on life, and do not ever hold yourself back from anything, no matter what the person says, no matter what the person does. Do not let them hold you back.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much for joining. We will be back again in 14 days with a new guest. But so far, thank you so much, James, for joining. And as I mentioned, hope I get to actually meet you in real life somewhere down the line, because it could just be fun to sit down and have a talk and a cup of coffee or whatever, and just chill and have some fun talking about animals and all that kind of stupid stuff.
Yes, I look forward to that very much so.
Same here. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to tonight's episode of Life, Death and Happiness. If you like this, please do us a big favor and head over to iTunes, Overcast, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to this podcast from, and subscribe to us. If you also give us a good rating, it will help us a lot reaching much more people, so I will appreciate that a lot too. Also, you can of course follow us on Facebook and Twitter and help us spread the word through there. My name is Daniel, and thank you so much for listening.